Live.
Live. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Nerdy Up North podcast. It's a nerdy podcast, and it's hosted by Northern Nerds. I am one of your hosts, Sam.
And I am the other smeghead of a host, that is Paul. And tonight we are joined by the luscious and the vibracious Graham.
Vibracious.
Yes, that was easy for me to say.
What part of me vibrates, Paul? Is this a wish list?
Depends. Like I said, it is Friday night after all. Normally you're talking about goodwill and trekking, but there's no trekking tonight, guys.
I love how the trekking's not happening because I was too busy, and then I'm still here doing this, and I'm just like, okay, that turned out weird. So anyone who's tuning in for Trek, enjoy this.
Hello, let's give Graham the night off. He's busy. He's too busy to do anything. So Graham will take over. And 5 minutes before we go live, can I come on, please?
This is the thing. It was like I was like, I don't think I can do it. And you're like, oh, we'll do the faculty instead. And I'm like, but I really want to be on the faculty episode. And I was like, okay, well, but yeah, no, that's it. I'm a surprise guest here.
Yes, well, not surprise. You're always welcome. And we are joined by the sex symbol himself, the guy that Goodwill loves. And if we were going to replace anyone with Goodwill with anyone, he would love to be the person that Goodwill wants to kiss him, smother him, and just be with him. It is the daddy Discord. That is Lee.
Nobody can replace Goodwill.
You're gonna have to fucking try.
You don't have to kiss his ass. He's not here. He's on the country. It's all right.
I know, he's currently overseas, but he has left some messages for us today. So I'll give it a few. Like say throughout the podcast, we'll have a few little Goodwillians, shall we say? So I'll start it off with a nice one. So let's have a look. Make sure it's the right one. So yes. So Captain Goodwill wanted us to know that he is Captain Goodwill, and he orders you all to watch the Trek. So his images.
The Trek.
So his images there, commanding in his little unicorn, and looks like Lee's going up the back door there with him as well. So looks all happy there. So yes.
Yeah. And we'll be back to Trek next week, I believe. So we will be doing a double episode next week for Lower Decks. So yes.
Double the D.
Ooh, double D.
It's always good when you take double. Isn't that right, Lee?
I tell you what.
God.
I tell you what. I am going to get the disclaimer out the way with, so we can crack on with this episode, and Graham can be properly unleashed.
The unleashed.
So, everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us on the Facebook page, the Discord, or the comment sections where we can have an open conversation. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong. We can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behavior out of nerdism.
Well done, Sammy. Well done.
Thank you.
So yes. So we thought we would do a special episode. Like I say, the nerd community did vote and said they wanted us to do a few things for the podcast. An episode. There was a few movies that were chosen, and I think Return to Oz was quite a close one. But this one was quite a clear winner, I would say. The Faculty, which did surprise me, but in a way, when you watch it back, I think Graham mentioned earlier in the checks, it does hold up. So we can now say these type of things. Now Sammy has got a disclaimer out the way. So
you're all free to talk. Graham,
oh, thank
go.
God. Fuck the Tories.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Yeah. You know it's coming.
You know it's coming. It's almost becoming something that is not a surprise anymore.
That's it, exactly. I mean, but the thing is that I think it's I think that kind of fits in an offhand way, because obviously this movie is about aliens that react.
Oh, it's the aliens coming to get us now.
I know. I was like, what's that?
Hey, how unprofessional!
Sorry, my doorbell was ringing.
Lee, we're just going to focus on Lee now. What are you doing, Lee?
My doorbell was ringing. Something was arriving, which does have something to do with Nerdy Up North, but I'm not saying what yet.
Oh, that sounds quite interesting.
Someone's arriving.
Oh,
yeah, like I was saying, this is a movie about aliens that have a penchant for water and require moist places to live. And what is more moister than Thatcher's grave with all the people pissing on it. So
Why?
it ties in almost.
Why do we
But no.
do it? Why do we do it?
But no, I
Because-
genuinely love this movie though. Like I
And we
remember
genuinely love
liking
you,
this as a
Graham.
kid, and then sort of watching it now because I just rewatched it today. £3 I had to pay on Amazon Prime.
I could have sent
and
you a dodgy link, to be fair.
Yeah, could have.
I can't do it. You know, when you were younger and you used to pirate all this stuff. Now I'm just like, oh, I've got the
Younger?
money. I'll pay £5 for fucking a movie. You know, it's like I'm basically apathetic towards piracy now. I'm just like,
Wow.
Oh,
Before we go any further, Michael is in the chat.
right.
And also, hello to Wolfman's Got Nards. Awesome name. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
And we have got another message that Captain Goodwill sent us as well. So I'm just going to post this one there. Look at him. Lee is the daddy. This is why we have Leon, and this is why the love affair is between Goodwill and Michael. Look at that face that Lee's pulling as well. He knows that he's the daddy, and he's enjoying Goodwill looking all smooth and Miami Vice or Magnum PI, shall we say?
Magnum PI.
I didn't even realize that Goodwill was pregnant.
Yes.
I don't see the upper half of him too much, but you know, it's quite a surprise. Honestly.
Yes. So congratulations, Daddy Discord, and
Yes,
Goodwill on the
congratulations.
pregnancy.
Well done.
Oh, thanks.
Right, the faculty.
Yes. So the faculty, yes. 1998 is it, or 99 was it came out? It feels like an earlier movie. 98, but one of the things to start off with, I have to say, what a fucking cast. Like, if you look back at this cast, I know everyone calls it like a sleeper hit and stuff like that, but when the days before the internet, and I used to get Empire Magazine and Total Film, I used to have my monthly subscription, they were raving about the faculty months before it actually got released. They were like telling everyone about it. But just looking at the cast that like of who's who, we've got Josh Hartnett, like say the 90s heartthrob and weird hair aficionado. Like someone must have said to him, like, sort your hair out. He never did it for Halloween H2O either as well.
They did try and sort his hair out. He cut it himself,
Right.
and messed it up to give him that unique teenager look.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you
tried
And they
spitting
were trying
facts
to
out
fire
there,
him from
Lee?
this and H2O. They kept trying to fire him.
They kept trying to fire him.
Yeah,
I didn't know he
Because
took
of his hair.
because of his hair, because he was cutting his own hair.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of like method acting, though, where he's going like, no, this is not what a teenager would look like. They'd look like this. And then they're just like, yeah, but we want someone who doesn't look shit. You know, like we want... But it is weird, though. It's like in Scream or whatever, where it's like, who is it who just has that terrible haircut in the second one?
Was it Skeet
Is it Neve
Urchins
Campbell?
or...
the
Courtney
second
Cox.
one.
Courtney Cox.
Courtney Cox.
Yes.
That is just...
It was
Someone
the
sat down
third
and went,
one.
that's the one. That's the haircut. And you're sitting there being like, are you blind? You know?
It was the
Fringe
third
is-
one where she had the very short fringe and it was awful. She looked good in the second one because she had them red highlights in.
Yes, it was because I think someone actually did a tweet of the actual picture of Courtney Cox, and she actually responded saying, "What the fuck was I thinking?" So that was quite
really
an
funny on TikTok.
But yes, I still remember them highlights as well. Yes, but like I say, Josh Hartnett, everyone expected bigger things from him, and he kind of didn't live up to that kind of potential. Because when you're watching this film now, he is really good in it. Which I know it sounds like I'm saying like as a surprise. He holds up, and he holds this movie because this movie should have been stupid, and the whole premise, like the invasion of the body snatchers, doing the modern type of take, but he is kind of like the glue that holds the movie together, because you want him to kind of come through and be the hero, but he's not, if that makes sense.
I agree to a certain extent, but I generally think Elijah Wood is the glue that keeps everything together, and he is the fucking hero. Like, Frodo did it. Go, Frodo!
It's about time he'd done something. He had Samwise carrying his back all the way through another like set of movies.
Exactly.
I think though it's an ensemble piece. It's the fact of the joy of it is that they're working together to kind of like do this rather than because they couldn't do it alone because the whole point is Josh Hartnett's character is what's his name? Zeke.
Take
Yeah.
Like the whole thing is that his progression is he's running away from all his problems. He has all this potential and he's just like, no, I'm not going to live up to any of that. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to get stoned, sell drugs and keep repeating high school. And obviously over the course of the film, he gets past that, but he wouldn't if it wasn't for Elijah Wood's character, if it wasn't for the others. Like, well, why is one of them called Stokely? That's
Clea
someone's
Duvall.
first name. Why?
Because she's American, but it's her real name is Clea Duvall, and I fucking love her.
Is she related to Shelley Duvall?
I
Hello,
don't know.
I'm
I've never
Shelley
looked
Duvall.
that far into it, but
Mhm.
yeah, I absolutely love her. She was in an episode of Buffy.
Mhm.
She's
Yeah,
She's
The
been in a lot of
Invisible Girl
stuff as
one.
well. American Horror Story most recently that she was been in as
yes,
well.
that's what I was thinking of.
Mhm.
Yes, I do like Clea. She's a good actress, and she is like that's me.
Mhm.
That's my that's who I'm gravitating towards throughout this whole movie. You know, the whole icky goth kind of. Don't talk to me.
Yeah.
But this, like I say, the other cast as well. I think with every like movie like this, like you get your good guys, but the bad guys in this as well, like the whole monster type feel. But the actual faculty, the cast, like the teachers, like Robert Patrick as a start, like is absolutely menacing as fuck. Like say,
Full on T1000 vibes.
oh, 100%. And the opening for the movie as well, it did actually throw me because when you were expecting all like nicely and like to lead into it, but it goes in hard straight away. Like seeing what's it called Lilith from Fraser trying to freak out and get away from him, and then like said him attacking, and then the old woman like thinking she's going to be there to help.
Who is she? She's someone very famous. I've got the cast list up. Just keep talking. Keep talking.
I love how all the teachers, all the faculty as they were, how they have this glow up when they get infected.
Oh,
like they
yes.
suddenly discover hair dye and combing, and
That's-
you're just going like, okay, maybe this invasion isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, they completely like glow up straight away. It's Piper Laurie. It's Carrie's mom.
Wow,
That's the
Girl,
older woman,
she
isn't it?
looks
Yeah.
different when she's not being pulled through a window, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And she has the greatest line. They're all gonna laugh at you.
But
I fucking love her.
But the amount of water they go through. But yeah, like say the opening scene when everything kind of like it kind of sets the tone for the movie and how what we're going to get. And I think the other big thing about this movie that I absolutely love and completely like I think it gets disregarded is the soundtrack. Like
Oh, the
sound.
soundtrack's class.
Oh, the soundtrack is like the mixed volume to my car. Like that is that is what I listened to in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Well, so you get like Offspring. I think it had Pink Floyd kicking in there as
Alice
well.
Cooper.
Alice Cooper.
I have to say I do get a bit annoyed by the covers. Like it's got so many covers of famous songs like Brick in the Wall, like Changes by Bowie, and I think they're a bit cringe. They are very 90s.
But weren't we all
the
cringe
actual
during the
songs they
90s?
use-
Like, let's be honest, every single one of us in this room here, like even like the people in the chat, everyone was cringe in the 90s. Not one of us got
Yeah.
away with that.
This-
Sorry, didn't
this
even
film-
dare pull a face there.
This film is the 90s though, like 1998, and it's like I'm gonna hold on to the 90s with this deathly grasp.
But yes.
I still am.
But I think because I know, like during this podcast as well, I know I'm going to be jumping from like bits and here, especially with Graham being on. With with the aspects I do love about this is what I would call the perfect balance between CGI and practical effects. They could have just used all CGI for this, but like the big monster, I know there were certain bits that you couldn't have done as a puppet, but they actually built and created the monster. And like say the CGI part, there's bits when Elijah Wood's having the little monster things burrowing into his skin. That's all practical effects rather than having like the CGI element to it as well. I thought
I feel
that
it was
was
quite difficult to tell what was CGI and what was practical effects. But I think
Well,
it's maybe because a lot of that part was dark, so you
Hmm.
couldn't spot
Except
CGI
where
properly.
Jean Grey's head comes off.
yes,
And
that
you
was
sit there
bad
like,
to me.
90s CGI.
Yeah.
What were you going to say there, Sammy?
No, I was just thinking you can't make that monster practical.
You can't. You just chop her head off.
I have to say, I don't know if it was meant to be for later, but it's like that whole scene, it just feels so unnecessary. It's so B-movie, and I kind of
Yeah.
love it. Like, it reminds me of Mars Attacks. But I'm also like, spoilers if you haven't watched this film, but what are you doing watching this if you haven't seen the faculty? But basically, the fact that like she gets her head knocked off,
Mhm.
and then it grows tentacles and goes back into her body, but then they destroy the aliens and she goes back to normal, but she's okay. And
But
you're
her
just sitting
neck
there
is
being like,
fine.
hang on, what? You know, like that's the thing. The other one of the other teachers, the one who gets stabbed in the eye, what's his name, Mr.
Oh,
It's
John
Mr.
Stewart.
Furlong,
Yeah,
because it's
Yeah.
Edward Furlong he's called, which is
Yeah.
the guy who played John Connor in the Terminator. Ironically,
it's a bit odd. It's like that. But yeah, he gets stabbed in the eye and dies and gets his fingers cut off. And then at the end in the credits, he's like, "Oh, I survived. I've got an eye patch now." And you're like, what?
Wouldn't have just added a little more to it if he like kind of was like adjusting his fingers or rubbing his eye, or she was like kind of creaking her neck, like there was some kind of indication that there was still like, oh, what's going on here? Like, why is my neck hurting? But they walk around absolutely fine after that. I didn't even think about that until you've just mentioned it there.
But
Like, she
but
gets her
How
head
does
cut
this
off and she's
alien
okay.
work?
I know,
It
but
just goes, oh yeah, the tentacle, because everyone else is like, when they at the end of the film, they basically sort of like the little alien pops out, and you're like, oh, you're fine now, and you're like, yeah, but your head came off. You were full of tentacles. You can't just say that this little bug came out and now they're fine. You know?
But we are arguing the case for the, like, say, moving magic on the basis on a film where an alien invasion comes and takes over human bodies, and we're kicking off about little things about how people survived. I think there's a bigger picture overall that we can let little things slide, like the fact, like, say, that it doesn't really go into the explain like why the water, like, they have to consume so much water. Again, like, say,
Hydrated.
Gotta keep moist.
They've got to keep hydrated,
Right,
otherwise
Lee?
they will shrivel and die.
but Graham did mention a good thing of the glow ups, like Frankie Janssen, her glow up from meek, mild, like teacher, still looking hot as fuck. Just all they did was tie her hair up and put her in a pair of glasses, and she still looked amazing. I was like, yeah, you're feeling big star with
Oh.
this one. And then she come back kicking Josh Harson's, like, looking like a proper badass. And like
Yeah.
Salma Hayek as well. Like, fucking Salma Hayek was in this movie as the Doctor. She going full from like sick and dying to basically going to from full dusk till dawn again is just, like, say,
Yeah.
something, a feast for your eyes, basically.
The teacher, who is inappropriately now dating one of her students, just saying, she
I'm
had
getting the word. Sorry.
she had a proper she's all that moment. It's like someone saw she's all that and went, wait a minute, glasses, bit funny looking. Let's take them glasses off, and oh my god, she's so beautiful.
Well, let's
yeah.
see if it happens. No,
Oh my
look
god,
worse.
you're so beautiful.
You're beautiful. It's such a glow up, Paul.
Did nobody else think how highly inappropriate it is that her and her student were essentially getting it on at the end? There was indications that there was something there.
Well, to be fair, didn't they say that Josh Hartnett's character was about 70, like, being held back
he's been
so many times?
Kept back a year in his senior year, so I think he's 19 possibly.
What? He's Eddie Munson.
Yeah.
This is my year. 98, man.
Still, but
I think it's one of these things where it's legal but not morally acceptable. You know.
Yeah.
What I don't understand as well, like I know we're gonna like, because the film is enjoyable. Let's be honest, it is a fun,
absolutely,
fun,
it's fucking brilliant,
and the cast is brilliant. But there is some glaring things that just don't make sense. The whole, like, say, the science teacher getting excited saying, "Oh, I'm going to be in a university mag discovering a new species." you would shit your pants if something go in the water and start biting things. Other thing as well, Josh Hartnett's character basically becoming a fucking scientist and concoct everything and working out, oh, he's a water-based being, and even pushing the teacher out the way to try and look at the microphone. Wait there, he's failing every class in this school. Is American students now teaching everyone to be ultra scientists and shit?
Well, I think the thing is with his character is that he's failing the exams because he doesn't want to. He wants to stay back in school. He doesn't want to apply himself, and he could ace everything. He could be the best student in the entire world because he's a genius, but he doesn't want to, and it's that, you know. So it kind of makes sense that he's a genius throughout, but it is. I think the whole thing about the film is that everyone is an archetype. Every character is like, oh, it's the nerd, it's the cheerleader,
It's
the
very
goth,
Breakfast Club.
Yeah, it's like the horror Breakfast Club is what this film is.
I was trying to think what to compare it to, and when you said Mars Attacks, it was like, that's it. It's like Breakfast Club meets Mars Attacks.
But Mars Attacks shit.
It really is.
Yeah, Mars Attacks is,
What? Mars Attacks
it's
is amazing.
unwatchable.
Wait there, I want to get to... What was that? Do that again, Lily?
I'm sorry, but that film is completely unwatchable.
Yeah.
I have never been so disappointed in, and I only watched it in 2019.
No, definitely.
It's a film where I always try to watch it and then I just go, oh, should we turn it off? You know, if it's that kind of film, and it's really disappointing because I love the idea of it, but just
And the aesthetics are amazing and everything, but when you're trying to like, well, what's going on? What have I missed? I can't quite follow it. Why is Sarah Jessica Parker a dog? Like, I don't get it.
I think with Mars Attack that I always felt like I wasn't in on the joke. It's like it felt like the joke that they were telling jokes and everyone else was laughing. And I was like, I'm not in on this. I don't think they don't.
What's so funny?
Yeah, but anyway, the faculty. But one of the scenes I absolutely think is amazingly well done and it's creepy as fuck is the rain scene with the coach and all the football team and getting water.
Yeah,
I've got it lined up as here as well, so I'll play it just for us to go through. Just for how like simple it's done and like how like it makes sense now with the aliens being obsessed with water and how they just stand there and that look on like say Robert Pattinson like look, and that's again not the best CGI, but it's done in a way where it creeps you the fuck out just by doing simple things rather than overblowing it, which could have done like things. I don't know for you, like which other scenes for you guys like jumped out. Like,
I really like that one. That's really good. But I really like the character who was running. I can't think of his character name. Oh gosh, I can't think of his name. But he was the footballer who wanted to be the academic.
Stan.
Stan. That's it. I really liked his character, and he was pretty fit as well. Like he was cute as anything.
I was just like, oh, I'm not sure about him. And then by the end of the film, I was like,
I get it. Totally get it. Because if you stand him up next to Josh Hartnett, then it's kind of no comparison. But he's dead cute. I like that scene. I love any scene that's got what's her name? Dahlia? Is it Dahlia? What's her name? Wow,
Delilah.
Delilah. Is it Delilah?
Yeah. Well, the bitch.
She should have been called Dahlia. But yeah, any scene that's got her in, because I think she's fucking fantastic in this film. She's so funny.
Just stone cold bitch.
Yes.
It's one of those
unapologetic.
There's one of those characters those as well that's just in this movie, but she's got one of those faces that you think, oh, have I seen her in other things? And probably you have, but I can't recall any other film that she's been in.
Fast and the Furious.
Fast and the Furious. Oh, wow.
Oh, is that
her role?
Fast and the Furious?
Yeah, it's Paul Walker's wife in.
Right. So that's where, like, say, they recognise her from there. What?
I think the role got offered to Charisma Carpenter first.
Really?
Which it's a very Cordelia role as well, but I think it's just too typecast for her.
Yeah, if I was her agent,
enough.
I would have gone, no, don't do this because you'll be doing it forever. But luckily, she's done nothing really since Buffy, which is a massive shame.
She was in Expendables.
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
She should be in everything because she's an amazing actress. But the truth is that, yeah.
But yeah, I really like any scene that's got her in it. The fact that Shooter McGavin is Elijah Wood's dad is just fucking phenomenal.
Talking
Absolute
about a few
lovely
of the
guy.
cameos, because that, like I said, that was a good little cameo, like having Shooter McGavin in it, and he was a complete arsehole as well. And
He's always a complete asshole.
I was so angry at Elijah Wood's mum as well when she like told the dad where he hid the porn. I mean, that's not a cool move. That was some bullshit there as well.
That was a dick move, man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I like
really
how
dick move.
unreasonable the parents are. Like they are absolute fucking dicks. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if I agree with that. It's in like, oh, they're very unreasonable, but he's came home and went, oh, the teachers have been taken over by aliens.
yeah.
I think most parents would be like, shut up, man.
I know, Lee, but he wasn't wrong. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's the sort of thing. Like, I don't know. I kind of think I don't know. It seems like his dad's just a dick. Like, you know, like
Yeah, I 100% agree with that part.
The only like the other cameo that I'd only spot, well, I probably did realize it back then, but now is the Harry Knowles cameo, and I freaked out as soon as I saw him. I don't know if did you spot him in this as well?
No, but I do have it in front of us.
He was he was basically in the teachers' lounge. And he was talking to one of the teachers. He was basically, I think it was during the 90s when Ain't It Cool News was like the big thing, or the big scoops and everything like that. So Harry Knowles was getting loads of like publicity or little cameos and stuff. But yeah, I remember him being in like talked about it, but I totally forgot it till I watched it back and I went, oh, fucking Harry Knowles. I remember going on that website and thinking, oh, I wanted to do this. I wanted to have such a cool website. But all he was basically like a shitty TMZ.
He really was, but he was the shit back in the day. Ethan Spooley plays him in Fanboys, and I fucking love it. He gets him so spot on. Yeah, he's in the teachers' lounge because he was a really good friend of Robert Rodriguez's. Also, what I've just found very interesting, the drug test is a homage to The Thing.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I quite get that now. Yeah,
and like my jaws just dropped there when I read that. Thank you, IMDb.
The amount of little nods and references to this,
Yeah.
like it is such a. It was what I was saying before, where it's appropriate because obviously your main thing is Monsters Up North, and this is a very B movie. It's a very nod to old movies. It's a homage to all of the cool horror films, and it's done really well rather than being the mess that it fairness should be. You know,
the mess that it could have been. Just looking there at the picture of the monster at the end, yes, that monster when it stands up on its hind legs is CGI. I don't think we could dispute that. But looking at it going through the chairs.
Well, I've got a video now. I'll show you. Like I say, we'll go look through the video. So this is the CGI bit coming in. Like I said, I've spliced a few clips together.
It's Hentai Girl.
Yes.
Look at her.
But this was a big surprise for me as well, because the 90s was huge for twists. Like everything wanted it to be like a twist ending or have something different. So that was practical. So
that doesn't look practical.
That's CGI, but so there's two bits now. So there's a bit where it comes into the water, but when it comes out of the water and like up straight, I'm sure this bit was a practical effect. But
yeah, that'll be a practical effect.
But yeah, the cute little blonde girl. Like, did you see her being the main bad guy? Like the new girl at school. I did think it was quite obvious, so I didn't actually think of it.
At what point did you realize that she was the queen?
When she turned?
When she told us.
Yeah. There was like hints at it earlier because like obviously when she's like, oh, I can't take the thing because I'm allergic to aspirin.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, how are you alive at this, you know?
So that was a practical there, I'm sure of it. Now I've just paused the little video there.
Well, that's CGI where you've paused it, but the fact is
a
lot of
CGI.
the rest of it, a lot of the rest of the scene was practical. Like every moment that it's in the water and the tentacles behind her and the splash and stuff, that's all practical. But yeah, anytime you can see it full body is fake.
Yeah, full body I think is probably because of size and scope. when we did the Alien episode, we talked about the Queen and the puppetry that went behind that. That's a fucking lot of work
Yeah.
for a big giant puppet. But I believe when they're going through the seats, and the seats are coming in, which really freaked me out, by the way, when the seats start coming in and he's running down it, the end bit where he's face to face with the monster, that looks like a full-on puppet. Looking at the detail of that thing, that cannot be created by CGI.
Yeah, it's really impressive. Like, I think the most impressive thing, okay, which you don't realize is a practical effect, is when she's got the tentacle arm, because they had to find an actress who actually was half octopus.
Not right.
Yeah, no, it's really difficult, and that's why we
Yeah.
haven't seen her in that many other things. Because, you know, like, how many hentai chicks are there? Wait, no, don't answer
I
that.
was gonna say, is Donna in the chat? She can probably answer that one for you there.
Okay.
But like, because if you talk about like 90s horror or 90s like movies, like say like as soon as Scream came out, it was like a renaissance. Like we've got I Know What You Did Last Summer, Cherry Falls, Urban Legends, and all those type of horror movies that came out. I think then Disturbing Behavior, Teaching Mrs. Tingle, like kind of on the low burners.
Teaching Mrs. Who?
Teaching Mrs. Tingle.
Is that an adult movie?
No, it's an actual. It stars Helen Mirren, Kitty.
Help me, Mrs. Tingle, I'm stuck.
Oh, I come to fix your fridge, Mrs. Tingle.
Katie Holmes as well. I think James Masters might have done it as well. No, that was Disturbing Behavior. But basically, the premise for Teaching Mrs. Tingle is basically she's a teacher and she's just been a dick. So that basically this pupils kidnap her and taught like say.
I've never heard of this movie.
No,
this sounds amazing.
Mrs. Tingle.
I'll see if I can get an image for you. But Teaching Mrs. Tingle is an actual was one of the like 90s horrors type thing, or a teen type films that came out, and this kind of followed on all those. And
isn't Tingle the little elf guy from Zelda?
Don't know.
Isn't there a little character in Zelda who's called Tingle? And I'm like, okay.
Absolutely no idea. But the faculty was like kind of part of that 90s explosion of horror, like starting from Scream onwards. Yeah, Scream onwards, I dare say.
Yeah.
And this is life. Like, this is what I lived off. And it's not where my horror journey starts. My God, that goes further back than that. But it's certainly kind of like I've got like, and it's mainstream, and I'm here, and I can easily, accessibly watch it. I'm not having to hide about this. I really like this film. Ant fucking loves it. He loves monster movies, so this is like kind of like proper monster movies. So this is like not my kind of monster movies. Can't get away with them. Oh, sorry, I thought someone was like confirming your teacher's Mrs. Tingle part.
No, it is definitely a film. I've got the poster. I'm just trying to load it up for you. Like say,
I think though that what happened is it's really odd because Scream came out and changed the entire like future for horror, because it was like it's like when Blair Witch came out and then suddenly everyone was like, oh, found footage movies.
Oh, and thank you for that, Blair Witch, because my favorite type of horror is found footage.
But it's the idea of years after like Blair Witch, we got some crap ones. Like we got some absolute crap being chucked out there. And The Faculty came out enough time after, I think, to basically, it should have been crap. Like it should have been like, oh, well, 90s teen horrors. And then he's just like, oh, but it's really good. Okay.
It shouldn't necessarily work. But because I think if you were to release it now, some of the teacher from hell is about to get taught a lesson.
That still sounds like a porn.
That sounds like a porn still, you know.
Apparently in the chat they're saying it was directed by it's Wolfman Got Nards. Thank you for this. He said it was directed by Kevin Williamson.
Yeah, like say it was
the guy who wrote Scream.
I don't talk shit.
Can I read the tagline out? I can't see it. Can I read the tagline out for it?
I'm just trying to get their picture up. Sorry.
Yeah. This summer, the teacher from hell is about to get taught a lesson. Teaching Mrs. Tingle. The problem is, it looks like 3 women on the poster,
There.
and
So I've got the poster there. So
and
it's
I'm
got
like, oh, that's a man. Okay, right. Cool. It's just-
That's a 90s man, Graham.
Yeah.
they just
That's-
drew some stubble on in post. They
But-
were just like, yeah, we'll get a biro out and we'll put a bit of stubble at the
They
bottom.
just took one look at like Jared Leto in My So-Called Life and went, him. That's the look. That's what we're going to continuously go for in the 90s. Josh Hartnett, on the other hand, with his hair, had some other. He was like, no, I'm taking it back for the,
Yeah,
for the
no, to
ball
be fair,
cut.
R.I.P. It's full on. What is it? Full on Sinead O'Connor, like this. That no, I'm not going to be an icon. I'll cut my own hair. Oh wait, maybe this
I'm
was a
taking it
mistake.
back for the ball cut. This one's for you guys.
But to be fair, defend myself, I was going to say Helen Mirren wouldn't be in the porno. I was like, oh shit. Helen Mirren's early career, she was in Calligrapher and shit like that. Take away anything I've just said.
Yeah, Helen Mirren's fine getting them out.
Yes.
Google.
Yes.
Good
But yes, and I think a lot of understated horrors went under the radar in the 90s as well. Like I know I didn't get Idle Hands till a little bit later, till after that was released, and this was all
God,
coming
I
out
didn't
around about the
actually-
same time. I think, so like say, I am the 80s child. I love anything to do with the 80s movies, and I will state that the 80s horror was the best. But I think a lot of the 90s horrors become a lot understated, and I don't think The Faculty gets its due, because name many body snatcher or alien horror films that came around, like sci-fi round, that
None.
done well. Like say, I know Keanu Reeves trying to do like a remake of The Earth Stood Still. That was
And he shouldn't have bothered.
Yeah.
No, but you're absolutely right. The 90s, because of Scream, the slasher genre was rejuvenized, and The Faculty is something completely different, but still manages to fall in that aesthetic of that 90s horror, and it's absolutely brilliant. And they do like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Like that is an old fucking film. So
Well, no, there's an 80s one, isn't there? Because there's a really old film, but then they had the 80s one where
yeah,
I always remember that, because like they put the twist that happens at the end of the film on the DVD intro, and I was like, "You what?" You know, that's like.
hold on a minute.
Yeah, and I remember like sort of putting the DVD in, and it literally has the final scene of the movie before you get to play, and I'm like, that's like going Bruce Willis is a ghost on the DVD menu, and you're like, thanks for that, you know.
Dicks. I've just read another interesting IMDb fact. So Mary Beth quite obviously, apparently, asks Zeke about how he makes his drugs. On the second watch, she's clearly trying to work out how to stop him.
right.
Now that's just an IMDb trivia bit. Discuss.
There's loads of like subtle or like little social commentaries to a lot of the stuff through this movie. Like I didn't realize it when I watched it as a teenager or a kid, but if you watch it now, it tries to like go on. Were the aliens trying to do something so bad? Because what they were trying to do was like make like classrooms more well behaved. Like all the kids were sitting up straight, answering questions. The two couple that were
sexier.
the teachers were
I
sexy, and
think
like
1930s Germany has roughly the same kind of narrative as well. It's like,
whoa.
where you just kind of go, oh well, you know, it would have been more orderly, and you're like, eh.
On
But
that
I
on
think
that
that's
note,
the
we've
whole
just
thing, though.
lost Graham's stream there.
Oh, where's he
No,
gone?
but it's that idea of basically just going, yes, you could, if you didn't have life would be a lot easier. If humans didn't have free will. Although essentially at the end, all of the teens end up just becoming like popular kids, and it seems a bit of a loss there, where you're like, oh, okay, so they lost their personality anyway. That's ironic.
And how much do they remember of being an alien as well? Is it like from the point of the thing going in the ear? Because all I think about is Salma Hayek at the end. All she'll be like is like, oh, coach pinned us down and spat in my ear. That's the last thing she remembers before becoming an alien.
I mean, that's most American school kids, like, recollections, really.
I don't know. I always wanted to have the childhood like Boy Meets World. So if it was anything like that, but the guy like Wolfman Got Nards has just put some good cameos in it as well. He says Joaquin Phoenix's sister, the Fuck You
Yeah.
girl, and Nose Pierce
Yeah.
girl is Robert Rodriguez's sister as well. So
Yeah, so it's Summer Phoenix who does when she slaps the shit out of the guy from Scary Movie
right,
and does the whole fuck you. Yeah, that's Summer Phoenix. I
Hmm.
did not know about Robert Rodriguez's sister, but it makes sense because he always has a family member
Mhm.
in his movie. Whether it's his nieces or his own son. He always has one family member in. I generally, up until right now, had no idea this is Robert Rodriguez.
No, it doesn't feel
I
like
would-
his style. It does not feel
Nah,
like his style. I'll be
absolutely
honest with
not,
you.
because Robert Rodriguez kind of has like a little theme for me, and it's always kind of like the spaghetti western,
Yeah.
or the
And to be fair,
mariachi side of things, and that's
Johnny
what
Depp wasn't.
people
Johnny
get.
Depp didn't have a cameo.
Yeah. Is he in
Why would John Jeff have a cameo? Like,
Wasn't he? I think we're talking not Johnny
Maybe
Depp.
Tim Burton, maybe.
I'm
But
thinking.
no,
it-
thinking of Tim Burton.
And Tony
Rodriguez
about
is,
sorry, and
Danny
But it's-
Trejo.
Danny
But it's
Trejo. That's
so
the one.
bad.
sorry.
Yeah, that's it, Danny Trejo. But it's so
Yeah, I was
weird.
like, why would Johnny Depp have a fucking cameo?
I totally missed it at the beginning, but then like at the end in the credits where it comes up saying directed by Robert Rodriguez and edited by Robert Rodriguez, you're like, wow, this is
Yeah.
totally not his style at all. And it kind of speaks volumes about how good he is as a director, where he has his niche, but he's like, oh, but I can do other things. And I can
Yeah.
edit, which is also good.
And he has. Everyone thinks that Quentin Tarantino has like a really good taste in music because of how good his scores are,
Mhm.
but Rodriguez is just as good when it comes down to movie scores. He really knows how to fit a
Mhm.
scene, unlike the people who did Aquaman
All right.
or who did Justice League. I will never forgive them for that.
Let it go. Let it go. It's fine.
I can't.
I don't think I can remember the soundtrack to Justice.
Good.
But I think I
Keep it
blocked
like
the whole
that.
film out because I really didn't like it.
One thing that does surprise me when it comes to like the faculty and like when you go to like 90s horror and like horror in general as well, especially with how well this movie did and how well it plays out. We didn't get any sequels or any follow-ups to this.
Good.
I know it is decent, but
Mhm.
Hollywood likes to milk a cow. So
Oh yeah.
this, I've never even heard rumors of a follow-up or a sequel to this, and it could be pretty quick, pretty easy to do because, like you say, a life form found in, like say, back end of America could literally go anywhere. I would like to say, like, what happens if it goes into like a big city like New York or the crazy state that is Florida.
That's the
How
thing.
would you tell?
It definitely could have a sequel. It could be a franchise. Like, I mean, they made follow-up films for like what's the film I'm thinking about? Bollocks.
Brave?
Anyway. No, it was the Alien Starship Troopers. Like Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers, yeah.
Got 2 low-budget sequels, and you just go, why didn't they do a straight to VHS or DVD sequel to this? Essentially, and Paul's right. Like this is. Even though it ends it by being like, look, these characters we have to give up on because their arcs are finished and stuff, and this particular alien's gone. There's no reason why you couldn't just be like, oh, another alien's landed somewhere and taken over. It's
it was the Cloverfield effect where it's when I know you're going back to the beginning on it, but you actually see the alien drop in to where then at the end when you're watching the video you could have something at the end of that where you just in the background something just drops and something's here. I do like the fact that I didn't get at all. I mean, I don't get a lot of things. I am not the brightest, but
I've heard rumors you get a lot.
Oh my.
From my husband.
Not from Daddy Discord.
Oh, my husband is more than enough. But no, I do like the fact that I didn't get the twist.
Yes.
I really do. I genuinely didn't get it. But when you rewatch it over and over again, like I have done, it's like you watch it and go, how the fuck did I know? How did I not know? How did I not know? Yeah. There's so many moments of how did I not know?
I mean, like in the later half of the film, she has less emotion than Rishi Sunak, and it's like
that's hard.
I know, that's it. That's acting. But it is just weird watching it because I'd like to say I worked it out, but I convinced myself so much that it was the art teacher, I think.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I just went, oh, she's the first one kind of thing. And I thought she was the one who walked up on the coach at the
I thought it
beginning
was
and
the
stuff.
coach.
But,
I had
but that's it.
suspicions about the blonde lass.
I
From
knew-
when they were doing the drug test with the
Yeah.
snorting it, those two looked at each other, and then it skipped to the
Yeah,
Jordana
she
Brewster,
kind
I
of
can't
like
remember what it's called.
freaks out, doesn't
Delia.
she?
Yeah.
So it was like I didn't see her snort that. Like that's got to be suspicious. And then when she poured the all of it over the who was it? It was the principal.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
I think
It was
that,
like, that's
yeah.
her.
I think that was the when, Lee's just got it for me. I think that's when my mind started going, a little bit of suspicion there, maybe.
Yeah.
But again, it's one of those movies where you're watching it back and you think, it's that person. No, it's that person. No, it's this person. No, this person's far too obvious. It can't be. But that was always the thing that threw us.
Which is great.
Mhm.
How great is it that the movie does that? Like, it actually manages to make it a surprise and make it so you're constantly going, is it this person? And like Scream, it's the fact of going, once you see it, you're like, it's all there. I should have worked it out.
I
and
should have
that's
seen
great.
it. They had so many little inklings. I generally thought it was Usher because
Why have Usher on and not be the bad guy?
No.
Why does he have a credit at the end and he's in like
he
a
is
scene?
also on the main
poster. Yeah.
Not even the guy who plays Stan is on the main poster.
I love how they fixed Josh Hartnett's hair on the main poster. They were like, no, fuck it. We're not going to have anyone come
You have
to
no
this.
control now. We do edits here.
Photoshop, bitch. Who was your favourite character in it? Because we do get a bit of a Scooby Gang type feel as well. So, like as Lee said earlier, it is pretty much like the Breakfast Club or the Goonies, shall we say, of sci-fi. So, who out of them was your favourite character? We'll go to the daddy first. So, who was your favourite character, Lee?
I can't remember what he's called, but Robert Patrick, the coach.
Right. Okay.
He's just perfect every time he plays a villain. He's just so perfect and so smooth.
I just wanted at one point for him to go, have you seen this boy?
Yes. If anyone needs to be hired to give off evil vibes, just go to him.
Yeah.
He can play dickhead because we saw that in Peacemaker.
Yes.
He can play true, like to the core evil. So that the T-1000, there was just nothing. There's nothing there, but just pure, mission. And we saw him play horror. And I like just horror in general, just that perfect character that you find in horror. I'm sorry, Lee, my words are starting to get away from me because he is just absolutely brilliant.
This is how
The
I feel.
man
It's hard to
deserves so
describe.
much more.
It's like I'm picking him over any of the main kids because he had much more of a presence than any of those to me. Like the first half an hour, I was still trying to figure out who is the main character of this film. but then it does come across. It's like, all right, it's Breakfast Club type of thing. Even Breakfast Club to the extent where the cool goth chick goes through the absolute atrocity of coming out with nice hair at the end. And
no, I hate the fact that she's wearing purple. She wears purple. She has a purple cardigan on. Fuck you. If you are goth, you keep to that goth aesthetic. I really wish they didn't change that about her because she mocked. She was always kind of like, I am true to myself. We know you're not. You've let a dude completely and utterly change you towards the end because you're wearing fucking purple.
The thing is, though, it's very much one of those, like, it's kind of laughing at the archetypes at the same time, where it's like, oh, he's a fucking nerd. Oh, he does photography and geeky stuff, and oh, he's like a stoner dickhead kind of thing. And then at the end, he just goes like, it's such a bad ending. Like it's a wonderful film, but a shit ending where characters survive, but they should be dead for all accounts. And then the idea of, the jock has a happy ending and there's no consequences. Like, surely his dad would beat the shit out of him for quitting the football team and stuff. You know, like all
Especially
these
in-
things.
especially in Southern America, yeah.
academics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. His dad's going to be like, you're the most famous kid in school. What the fuck? Like, you're not going to get a scholarship anymore because you're average. You know, all of these things, and that's just ignored at the end. The goth chick, like in The Breakfast Club, just becomes a cheerleader, like a standard kind of hot chick. The nerd gets with the hot cheerleader. That's not going to happen. And what is it? Yeah, and Zeke, the stoner like nerd, becomes a jock.
Yeah.
Yay!
And
Good
starts
for
fanning
him.
his teacher. Woo.
Yeah, and he's just sitting there being like, this is what people thought was good in the 90s. Like, they thought this was a good result. And same as The Breakfast Club, it's like, yeah, you get to be normal. And it's like, fuck.
Yeah, I love the movie, but I have to agree with Graham. The whole ending where everyone reverses on each other, and throughout the whole thing, they are so fucking proud of the person that they are. They fight so hard for that, especially Stokely. That really, really fucking bothered us.
We need to edit that. I don't know how good your editing skills with video are, Paul, but
Not
we need
very
to
good.
edit the final scene between Stan and Stokely to have Stan in full-on fucking corpse paint. You know, he's literally just sort of
With the rain dripping down and it just like smearing down
like
his face.
full-on crow, you know, and stuff. And that's the goth relationship we want them to do.
So we
That's
need
what
to
we want.
so we need to do the Crow faculty edits, like say half
the
half
crossover.
half Crow and half the faculty. I do think, even though I enjoy the film, and again it's like switch brain off, enjoy the film. The film lacks balls and lacks making big decisions. As you said, nobody dies, nobody kind of gets killed off. And I think, like, especially in a horror movie, to amp up the suspense or amp up the kind of the urgency, you have to kill off a few of the members, even if the kids. They're doing it now. Evil Dead Rises does it perfectly. It's without any jump scares. It's very brutal, but kids die in that movie. Sorry, spoilers.
It is on Netflix, everyone, so you can. It is easily accessible now.
Yeah, so it's kind of like nobody's off the table. If nobody dies, it's kind of like, oh, I'm just enjoying this. But there's no. It's kind of like watching Captain America: The First Avenger. It's like, yay, it's Captain America. He's not going to get beaten because you know where he's going to lead to. So there's no urgency and there's no fear.
Yeah, of course.
Well, why do you think it's studio like intervention that basically went, oh, it's going to have a happy ending. We've got to have the dead people being like, oh, I'm okay, actually. I only lost some important fingers and an eye. You know, it's.
But it's okay, guys. I'm Jon Stewart. Everything's fine. Even though Jon Stewart is an amazing person, please love the guy. He's great. But yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
What's the body count of this film? Is it
None.
it's like 2 or something?
Seemingly.
The principal must die.
Sarah's
She was missing half her face.
Sarah's just mentioned Mary Beth dies.
Yeah, so Mary Beth, and does the principal not die?
Yeah, but Mary Beth was an alien and Southern. So technically,
Yeah.
you know, one of those is a crime.
I don't know if the
but,
principal
yeah, no,
makes
I
it.
think
I don't think the principal makes it out because she takes a face load of everything, of
But
dust.
the old woman
lady.
dies, the old teacher dies.
Yeah, the old
Yeah,
lady.
in the shower.
Yeah.
How does the principal survive? She gets stabbed multiple times at the beginning. Do they just put an alien in her and just like, oh well, you're back to normal?
Well,
Healed,
like I say,
healed.
Frankie Janssen gets her head reattached, so decapitation
Are you
doesn't work.
questioning her being stabbed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just
Touche.
read an interesting thing as well to actually answer, to go back to what Lee was talking about with the scene where Mary Beth doesn't take the thing and like what's her face all freaks out. The pair of them look at each other before they're about to take it. They're actually communicating with each other.
Right.
So
Okay.
in fact, she's telling her to take it and cause a distraction.
Right.
So that is why she screams and holds back, and then it gives a chance for Mary Beth to just dispose of her scat, as they call it.
Scat.
Yeah, I've just literally
The
read
scat
that.
man.
I just think this movie gets a lot worse when you think that it's a lot of teenagers just doing scat. That is.
It's giving the message. Look,
That's a different. Is there a movie poster for that, Paul?
I probably could do
Doing
it.
scat.
Could probably do
Google
it.
it. Google it, maybe.
I'm not. Well, I was
He
going to say
doesn't need that on his bloody Google search thing, man.
Oh, it's
I'm not in.
already
I'm not in
changing,
incognito mode. We'll get Google. We'll get Goodwill to search it. He's got some
Yeah,
dodgy
well,
stuff
good.
on
Michael
it.
will do it for us.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I was going to ask something. Come back to us.
Right.
I'll think. I can't remember. I'm so sorry. I'm very tired. Oh my God. Michael loves the Goonies. That is such a good
Aw.
picture of Michael, by the way. I do love that picture.
Chunk. And that's me on the right.
He had hair.
So Graham,
Yeah, that's it.
who was your favourite character in this as well, Graham?
I don't know, because I was kind of like, oh, I think I know who it is, and then when Lee mentioned the coach, I'm like, actually, he is he is iconic in this, and it's a bit weird because I don't really. It's kind of annoying though. Like none of the teachers get good endings. Like as in there's no confrontation with them. There's a confrontation with the principal and with whatever Miss Burke teaches. And then the rest of them, it doesn't. Like, it seems a bit weird.
Do you
just
think
kind of vanish?
Yeah, do you think the ending that we got, it kind of leaves it a little bit unsatisfied with a lot of things?
Yeah.
Like a lot of things unsaid, a lot of things undone, a lot of things not explained. That's, again, coming back to the film, like, this felt like a movie that could have led into different things or different, like, more interesting. That's why I was, as I said, I was asking a question, because I've always thought, why? Like, when you say that, like, it could be the cast, and it was so hard to get that cast. They never thought to replicate that cast again. It could have been played into a thing, but like, I mean, alien sci-fi should have multiple like shit sequels. To be fair,
I mean, this is probably a question for Wolfman's Got Nards, because they seem to have all of the answers. But
he does only. I think he does run his own horror podcast.
Does he?
Right.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah.
No, that's it. But it's the idea of, I would like to see how many cut scenes there are from this, or if there's a director's cut or something, because it feels as though there would be scenes with the other teachers, like, or something, because it seems weird that he just forgets about loads of them. But yeah, to go back to the original question, I don't know, my favorite character, probably Stan, if I'm perfectly honest, because I feel out of all the kids, he's the one who has an arc. Like, everyone else kind of jumps to a conclusion, but I like the fact that he's like, he's pointing out the opposite side, where it's like going, hey, everyone loves you, or you're all this, and then you're just going, oh, but like, like, you want to get away from it. I think that's the closest we get to a development arc in this.
No,
I quite like it.
Yeah. I totally agree, because he goes from the jock, the football player, but it's not a case of like he instantly thinks to himself, oh, I need to be smart now. Like, it's not something that you can tell he's already figuring that out before he, says that this is what he wants to do. And just the one cut only, I'm afraid I was.
That's a surprise, because it feels like the sort of movie where there'd be tons of extra stuff in it. Like, and yeah, there's just no I think of it. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like I think Stan's probably the most rounded character, and he's the one who stays truest at the end. He doesn't have they're not a goth anymore. Oh, they got the girl. And in some characters, like, are just hollow, like Delilah. Like Delilah just, there's one throwaway line which is like, oh, your dad molested you. Okay, that's why you're such a bitch. And that's the biggest 90s school stereotype ever. But it's just, I don't know. I think Stan's the most rounded out of the kids, and yeah, the coach for the. Although when is it Miss Burke? When Miss Burke goes full Michelle Visage and pushes Zika about, like, obviously smaller tits, but it just, I don't know. It just, like, that came out of nowhere. Okay.
It was leading up. I think with, again, going back to what you're saying, like the character progression, the sad thing about it, probably Stokely was my favourite character through until the ending. And that kind of took it away a little bit, because, again, Sam is completely 100% right. It's kind of like, oh, she changed who she was to get the boy.
Get the boy.
And that's not really the right message. It probably was the right message in the 90s when everyone was saying, don't be a goth, don't be a Satanist. Well, that was probably in the 80s when they were saying no, being terrified of like.
The 90s had Satanic Panic. Yeah. Over there.
Yay. Good old Satanic Panic.
Oh, the absolute numbies. But yeah, it was the whole, like, Stokely was my girl. Like, actually, if I really think about it, I have probably like had a lot of looks that ran off Stokely because of how mint she was. I absolutely adored her. I just hated the end that she changed for a dude. Now, what I really think it meant was that she's no longer miserable, so therefore she can add a bit of color. That potentially was where they were going with it, but essentially she changed herself for this dude. Stan is probably my favorite character, favorite, because as I 100% agree with Graham, he is the only one who has a complete arc. It's complete from start to finish. He got exactly where he started from is where he ended, is where he wanted to be.
Do you not think Elijah Wood had the similar type of thing, just not as prominent, just because
No,
no.
He gets braver, but there's no indication. Well, I suppose he does in a way where obviously he's like not brave and stuff. But even at the beginning, he's kind of standing up to the bullies a little bit, like he's back chatting them and stuff like that. So he's not a total coward,
and he's not scared of his dad in a way.
Yeah, and and
but it's weird. Haven't you just challenge him to golf? That's all. Get past that aspect. But
I just wish he turned around and said, "I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast."
I think it's like Elijah Wood's character. What's his name? Casey.
Casey.
Has an arc, but it's nowhere near as pronounced as Stan's. You know.
No, I agree.
I'm trying to think of Zeke's arc, but it's just nothing.
Isn't it amazing? Like, we're not even picking Zeke as like a character that we want to even talk about.
It just hasn't developed at all, but he was one of the coolest characters in the whole film.
Zeke is literally like not a Mary Sue, but like he basically, because obviously he has a lot of faults, but it's this idea of he starts the movie with all of the skills that he has at the end of the movie. The only difference is he decides to get his life back on track and apply himself at school. And you're like, that's kind of cool.
He still didn't get a fucking haircut though, did he?
Oh, but that's it, yeah. He's got a helmet hair now.
He kind of, the thing about Zeke is he kind of wore my clothes that I was wearing then. Baggy jeans, chain,
the t-shirt with the long sleeve underneath.
T-shirt with the t-shirt, the Limp Bizkit t-shirt on the top. Like,
I think Daddy Discord should wear this as well. Yeah,
I actually loved that look. Like it's so weird that I never thought twice about it at the time. But looking back, I'm like, I think that's a good look. It makes no sense, obviously. The whole why have you got a long sleeve on and then a t-shirt on top?
Well, what happens if you get chilly arms and you want to show off your cool band t-shirt, man?
Well, it just seems a bit weird because it's like if you go, oh, it's the sun's coming out, I'll take my t-shirt off. Oh no, I've got a long sleeve underneath. Like rather than the other way around.
But it was the skater boy look, though, wasn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah,
I've still got long sleeve tops to wear.
I was very much there. Yes, Dan. Dan's are the best. Dan from Bleeding Marvelous is in the chat.
Hello, Yay. Dan. Oh, thanks. I stole a line there. Sorry. Hello, Dan.
Say hello, Dan.
But yes, what would you change in this movie if you had to go back? Like, if you were the director or anything, like the obvious one is the ending. So we'll take the ending out of the place.
Oh, okay.
What kind of things would you change or?
Well, then that's really hard because I wouldn't change a goddamn thing, because the whole thing with her, the monster, and the reveal, and that is really fucking good. It's just. The end has some, and you know what? If we hadn't talked about it the way that we are, and someone had asked us, "What do you think of the faculty?" I would never have brought up the fact that the end is terrible. I would have been like,
no, "That's Graham's fault." To be fair,
which is good. Which is good though that you walk away and it hasn't soured the taste.
Exactly.
You just go, "Oh, that was great."
Probably is me. Being completely honest, I do think there should have been a body count. Now I watch it back, I think that would have added more to the gravity and a little bit more impetus to move the film along a little bit now, and you would be thinking, who's going to survive? But nobody really, like the danger is getting turned into one of the fish slug things. That is the main scary thing to it. And as we saw in the clip before, like when all the football teams getting like rehydrated, that's a frightening thought and a frightening image. But throwing in a few deaths and killing off a few of the little fuckers would have, added to it a little bit more.
I wouldn't have just gone for a few. I would have had everybody who was infected dies, apart from the last few because it's only just recently infected. Then the drive off into the distance because there's nobody left in the town. And then you find out that the science teacher sent that one from the tank off to some university, and it was another queen.
That's what the sequel would be.
Oh.
That is
See?
exactly where you would go with a sequel. Is that
Yeah.
you know?
That's how
like
you
that.
would do it. Like, I would probably, why didn't they do that for this? Again, I still missed opportunity. There's a lot of stuff that does get made, and you think, oh, that could have been a way forward, but Lee's just nailed it there with that little tidbit. Didn't even think of that.
Like, Dan and everyone, and probably Wolfman will probably know, but it's like, when was the writers' strike? Wasn't there a writers' strike after this? Could it have been one of these? Yeah, so could it have been that they were developing a sequel, and then that happened, and then afterwards they're like, it's too late.
You'll never know. I'm trying to think. It was like the early 2000s.
They were too busy teaching Mrs. Tingle. That's what it is.
I can't believe up until
classic.
now. Dan, if you're still in the chat, have you heard of this movie? And should we be doing it?
No one has heard of this.
Why is it? Yeah, I love teaching Mrs.
Paul
Tingle.
just made it up.
It's got Helen Mirren and she gets tied in a chair. It's fun.
Has it really got Helen Mirren in it?
Have you heard of Disturbing Behaviour? That's another one. That's the same type of thing.
I owned that on DVD from the day it came out and never watched it.
It's a good movie. It's very much.
I went out and bought it,
Mhm.
and it just sat in my collection, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm fucking cool." But no, I've never seen it.
Disturbing Behaviour is just an alternative
It's
version
Katie Holmes,
of.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's just an alternative version of the Faculty without aliens. It's using mind control. It could be a version of Erie, Indiana. You never know.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just reading Wolfman's Got Nards comments. Oh my God, Dan's not even heard of it.
Damn it! I'll show the poster. The poster's there in front of us.
The poster.
The poster.
Have you
It's got
seen
Katie
this
Holmes.
poster, Dan?
It's got
Sorry.
Teacher Mrs. Tingle.
So he says, great idea, but Furlong wouldn't have sent it to the other university as he would have had to turn up before being able to.
But I mean, if he sent it knowing, like after turning and knowing that it was going to spread somebody, you know how it is, where that's blatantly not the intention. But if you were writing a sequel, you'd be like, let's just change the intention a little bit, and go, oh, he realized it was a queen, and then he posted it off deliberately, something like that. But
I mean, it's a bit silly for an alien race which has traveled billions of light years
You
to get
can't
to
make
our
that
planet.
bigger than us, man.
does
To
he use every?
not-
He just posts it with like.
Just like
To not have the
"Here,
intelligence
look at the
to
picture."
not put all the eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
They've literally just focused on this one town and nothing else. So surely an advanced race would try something else.
But they did mention it in the movie, which was quite a good. Which was.
Oh, there you go. He's agreeing.
Yeah, but they did mention it in the movie. It's like, if you're going to invade, like America or the world, you would do it in a small town first, where nobody gives a fuck about them, and no one's think. Rather than, like, if you went to New York or Washington DC, they would have the feds down on you within 30 seconds. Like they monitor that shit. Where in like say the backward woods, like the Bible Belt and stuff like that, they'll probably saying it's a sign from God. But sorry.
Yeah.
Most likely. Most likely. But aren't you pleased that they didn't do a sequel upon a sequel, turn it into a franchise, and absolutely fucking drown this film?
No, I'm very happy it's like a one-off. There's a lot of great one-offs that don't need a sequel. It's just surprising because this one feels like it could have done with like a few more features. I would have liked to know.
Do we know how it did box office wise? And because that really kind of determines it, doesn't it?
I know, like, the marketing campaign before it came out was fucking on fire. You couldn't go down the street without seeing the Faculty poster. The Faculty poster was iconic back in the day. And it was in Empire.
Because Usher's in it.
Yeah, because
Usher's in it, exactly.
He made the fucking poster.
2 minutes.
I love that he gets a segment. He gets a segment at the end where he does all the characters, and you're like, he did nothing.
Did he have a song on the soundtrack? I don't think he actually had a song on the soundtrack.
No, I don't think he had a song. He's in like 2 minutes. So it debuted at number 5 in the US and making, I can't say this number. This is why Dan should do figures. It's 11,633,495.
So 116.
It's like you're trying to confirm your phone number on something.
I know,
Yeah.
isn't it? I'm so bad with numbers.
0800. Call Dan.
0800 Miss Tingle.
Miss Tingle.
Its eventually US gross was 40.3 million.
That's
how much did
pathetic
it?
for
How
the
much did
90s,
it
isn't
cost
it?
to make?
It released on Christmas Day.
Right?
Yeah.
Come on, kids, eat your turkey. We're going to see an alien film.
It
So-
was viewed on 2,365 screens on its opening weekend, debuting at number 5, making that figure that I give you. The gross was 40.3. It doesn't say what it's.
I'm surprised because I remember it being everywhere. Like I have it
Yeah.
like talking about it and like literally getting excited for it to come out because there wasn't many movies like this coming out at the time as well. I know.
Oh my God, Creed's on the soundtrack.
To be fair, it's the
Wow.
I
90s.
looked at the soundtrack and I couldn't spot Creed, but I thought I'm sure that was his
Oh.
voice.
Dan,
It's
63
like
million.
half an hour in or something.
Like, Dan, is that disappointing for the time? Like, because maybe that's why it didn't get a sequel. Because surely it would have cost like 10 million to make, and then to just make
It wasn't.
63.
It was a 15 though, wasn't it? It wasn't an 18. So because normally
okay, yeah.
if it's an 18, they do take that in the
The
grand.
Christmas thing
Yeah.
sounds like it might have affected it a bit as well.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely not.
They must have been aiming for a Halloween release and
Not
just
all
been
horror
delayed.
aims. Not
Well,
all
like-
horror aims for Halloween releases. Scream came out at Christmas. Give me 2 minutes. Sorry, my cats have somehow
15 million budget.
reset
Dan's
the
just said.
fire stick. Hang on.
See, clever cats. 15 million budget. Dan has just let us know. So yeah, so that it made money. It like I say, it got the money back.
But not enough to be like, oh, this is a sensation. We'll make a franchise out of this. You know, like I'd say, if I was a producer, I'd be like, oh well, you know, let's try something else.
See, from the movies of the time, I put this up there with movies like Idle Hands and stuff like that. Like as a one-off, quirky type of horror, that kept things interesting as well. That wasn't just like a slasher movie or like all them different things. And like I know we've showed the monster, talked about it as a bit of a puppet as well. I thought the actual monster looked quite cool because that could have it went either two ways. It would have been absolutely really, really shit, or like I say, done really badly. But I thought it looked actually quite interesting and quite cool.
I thought it looked great until I started thinking about Audrey 2 from
Yeah.
from Little Shop of Horrors, and then once I saw it, I was like, oh, I can't stand
Wait
it.
there. Maybe this is the sequel to Little Shop of Horrors. This is just another version of Audrey.
Maybe. I mean, if you watch the theater ending, Audrey won, so it could be. Do you know what? If that puppet at the end had lipstick on, I'd have fucking decked it.
They just literally Elijah Wood just in the corner. It's like, feed me Seymour.
Could suddenly see more standing beside.
I've just
Well,
thought
really,
about
Oh, sorry,
you were
Lee.
saying about like sequels and stuff like that. They could have even done prequels because they mentioned about the films, the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and saying that they could have been here before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They
Well,
could have
that's
always done
Stokely and
stuff.
her goth ways. Remember that.
So when
mean-
we talked about reviewing the movies as well, I always like to do this because Lee's currently got the perfect, like giving every movie that he's reviewed a fucking perfect score. So let's see if this breaks the routine as well. So we'll leave Lee to last. So if you were going to rate this movie out of 5, like 5 being perfect, nothing wrong with it, nothing wrong, nothing you would change, what would you rate this out of 5, Graham?
Well, I never give anything full marks because out of 5 is really difficult. I think now 10. I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5 because it is a far better than I gave it credit to before watching again. And yeah, it has its failings, but it's a very enjoyable movie. It has a twist that works. It has characters that are likable. The special effects are great. Like, all you'd need to do is re-release this movie or do like a Blu-ray version where you like update the CGI to be less shit. But yeah, it's a great movie. I mean, the only thing I didn't really like is some of the score, not the soundtrack, but the actual score for scenes I thought was a bit clunky in places. But no, yeah, it's a great movie.
Sammy?
Yeah. 4.
4.
I'll knock a 1 off for the ending Even though if you'd asked us, if Graham hadn't have been on here and
Mhm.
hadn't pointed out the glaring obvious, I probably would have said 4.5.
If we got corpse paint Stan, would that be a 5?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there we go.
100%.
I'm gonna be
Director's cut coming soon.
I'm gonna be a little bit harsher and say a 3.5, just because there is elements to it that now, like as we've talked about, like the CGI on Frankie Janssen getting a head chopped off looks terrible. The ending not feeling right and not feeling like we've got the complete story. And like say the goth girl changing to the nice girl to get the guy that she wants. Not really giving the right messages out. So I'd probably give it a 3.5. But it's one of those movies where you switch your brain off and you can just and probably I lost a bit of a mark as well for Josh Hartnett becoming a scientist, like, and knowing everything while he's still in high school. Yeah, and his hair.
And his hair. Which I never thought was like a big issue up until right now. Like
we'll review Halloween H2O.
I mean, if I'm perfectly honest,
wow, yes.
I wouldn't climb off. I wouldn't climb off because of the hair, but it's also you'd be fully aware of it during. Okay, that's
yeah. I would be now.
Maybe you could wear a hat. I mean,
maybe it was the 90s. He could have wore a beanie.
Well, this is the interesting thing. Now, can I just go off on one for a little bit?
Oh, absolutely.
No, because we talk about this not having a sequel, but effectively it does have a spiritual sequel in a way, which is a video game. And it's a video game that was released, I think it's early 2000s, but it's a video game called Obscure, and it had a sequel and there was going to be a third one, but the studio went bust, I think. But basically, it's effectively The Faculty as a video game. Where you have a team of archetype students, and you're locked in a school, American high school, and there's monsters that are like the thing, where they're basically the teachers and stuff, and they're mutating, and it's students and stuff, and there's some kind of conspiracy going on where the teachers are doing something and whatnot. It doesn't. The monsters and aliens aren't the same as from The Faculty. They go more John Carpenter's The Thing and whatnot. But it's great because you effectively have the same kind of characters, and the Zeke character in it, who's basically a massive stoner, he's what do you call it? Where it's a white person who tries to be a rapper, and it's like the Eminem
we're not saying that word. No,
I am not saying that word. But
is there okay? Whatever the word is, but it's the idea of he's like that, but he looks like the same, and he's got a beanie. So they basically upgraded his character to give him a beanie to sort out the hair. But
they try.
It's a very good game, actually.
They try to rectify.
Gameplay, but great.
They tried to rectify the hair and the face in Pearl Harbor, and I think that's why he went off.
To be fair, he had nice hair in Sin City. We'll give him Sin City. But yeah. But yes,
applauded it nicely.
I think it's to stop him getting too hot. Like maybe that's dangerous.
So Lee,
maybe I'm going to go and watch The Faculty now.
So Lee, what rate are you going to give it now?
Before we do, Dan's pointed out that all time this has made 465 million.
Yeah, I was totally fucking wrong. Yeah.
If that's right, how has this not had a sequel?
Is it, Dan, is it that's like a sleeper hit? You know how like stuff like Rocky Horror was a flop and whatnot when it came out, but now it's probably made like sort of 600 million. Like, is it a case where it didn't do very well at the cinema, but then DVDs went great or soming?
I'm not sure.
I love the way Graham says cinema.
I think
cinema.
But is that not how you say it? Cinema. The cinematograph is a wonder of the modern age, or whatever. Like whatever.
I just call it the talkie house.
So going back to Lee, bless him.
Sorry, Lee.
It's fine. I diverted away from me giving my score.
Trying to hide his score now.
I fully agree with you, Paul. 3.5.
Yeah, it went low. It's the Five Guys guy is not a 5 today.
The story was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The character development pushes it back for us, and not enough kills, not enough death count.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to beat the Invisible Man, Claude Rains, but we could come somewhere close. Actually, not one. He still reigns supreme in monsters.
Because he's mad. He's crazy.
Hang on. Like, I know we talk about the Invisible Man having a great body count because he killed a bus, but we don't know how many people were really on the bus. Like, were they lying?
100.
I don't know. It's a big fucking bus. But it's the idea of how is that compared to Arnie at the end of Commando?
Well,
That's the count that we need to think about.
No, I haven't done Arnie yet, so probably, but even like
Have a look
Jigsaw
online
and
for how many people he kills in that film. It's
Well,
ludicrous.
wasn't it Hot Shots that done like the count that said now greater than Terminator, greater than
Hot Shots Part 2.
Hot Shots Part 2.
oh, yeah.
But no, Claude Rains, he told us how many he killed. He went, I killed 164 people. Don't mess with me. So I'm not
You
messing with the
fools.
Invisible Man now.
You
So
fools!
yes.
You want,
I don't-
you want to know who I am?
You're just dying to know.
You are just dying.
You're
to know that
crazy
you-
to know who I am.
You have the highest kill count, Claude Rains. He still reigns supreme. We have so much things planned to do with kill counts. Christ, Claude is going to be put on a pedestal.
God, I'm just going to create a graphic now saying the ultimate killer. And then
Yes.
have a picture of Graham next to him going,
Just nobody, just a picture of no one.
Just
Oh
go-
yeah, Graham's still on when he
Do-
looks like
do
something
that.
out of Terrence and Phillip.
He needs he needs a speech bubble being like, "You're crazy to know who I am," as he's taking the thing.
but yes.
And then the highest kill count.
Yep.
So is there anything you want to add about the faculty? Because I think we've pretty much, rather than talking about scene from scene, I think we've talked about it quite well there.
I like it enough to where I'm gonna go and watch it now.
Hmm.
Just only because I want to see Josh's hair.
You don't.
But yes, Michael, your presence has been amazing throughout this whole episode. I've thoroughly enjoyed. I really do love that picture of Michael, by the way. I know it's all been mocking and everything, but I think that's a lovely picture of him.
I'm just glad that he's having a good time. Like
Me too.
It's
He deserves
really
it.
weird because he's so wonderful, and it's strange not doing Trek with him on this Friday. So it's,
No, we're not saying nice things about the little prick. So
hey, we love Goodwill, and we can't wait for him to get back. But when he's had his fill of America,
you know why Graham's doing that?
I
Because
love
Graham
that
wants
all
presents.
He's
That's
been filled in America.
Sam
all
once
I've
has
asked him
Starbucks
about. He's been basically like, oh, I'm in Las Vegas. Oh, I'm doing this. Look at this wonderful thing I've seen and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, shut up. What's the food like? What have you eaten a massive pizza yet? Like, that's all I care about in America. That's all I'm gonna do if I go over there is just eat all of the food.
Should we have an eat tour of America?
Yes, we will die, but
Yeah.
I'm tired of living anyway. Actually,
So when-
Exactly. What's to come back to?
Tory Britain.
Tory
Say that
Britain.
though. I'm not doing this podcast by myself. You're not fucking off. So no, you're not allowed.
How about we come
can
back
make
and we're just
special.
massive? We're fucking huge.
We
We just
We don't even fit on the screen anymore.
It's all just Mr. Creosote in these little boxes.
It's like blink once if you're here.
So yes, so next Friday, Graham and Goodwill. Well, not Graham and Goodwill. It's Graham and do you have a few friends to help you?
Yeah, I'm discussing it with basically General Kirkby, who we've had on before, General Kirky, and Baron LeVay, who we've also had on before. So we're gonna try a trio, a trio of things, and yeah. It's quite. I don't think Baron's watched any of Lower Decks, so I don't know if they're going to be totally just lost by things or if they're just going to jump in. But yeah,
It'll be like Sammy when we done the Angel episode, just going yes.
Yes,
I have
that
never
is a
been so
thing.
quiet in my absolute life. My sister texted and went, Angel, have you seen any? I was like, no. She was like, are you talking? I was like, no.
I thought it was great though because effectively, like we had all watched it. And you were hearing it, and you're like, all of these characters sound like absolute bastards. And I'm like, I never thought about it that way, but yes, they're
You all sat
terrible
there and
people.
going, so would you watch it now? Like, no.
Which is
They
fair.
sound horrible.
Which is a fair assessment. Now, with this being a special Friday night episode, you lucky nerds are going to experience us for another day. So we are back on Sunday. Me, Sammy, the Discord Daddy is returning as well. And we have the lovely Sarah Peach, which, again, with Lee and Sarah on the same episode, I am terrified that we are going to go to the 4-hour mark. So that could be...
I am excited to have Sarah on. I was saying this to Dan the other night. I love it when Sarah's on, but I feel so sorry that she comes on in a top 5 and the poor girl has made all these notes and barely gets a chance to see any of them because we are running overtime. So I love the fact that we're going to have a proper sit-down talk with Sarah.
The hilarious thing about it, though, as well, is Sarah and Lee have spent this entire since they got told that they were not got told since they volunteered. Sorry, I volunteer as tribute to come on the Tom Hanks because we're talking about Tom Hanks movies. They have went through and watched nearly every single Tom Hanks movie. Like, how many movies have you watched, Lee? Like, you did a list. You're watching at least 3 a day.
I've watched 5 yesterday, 4 the day before. How many have I watched today?
But you do
I think
homework?
four today. What did you say?
You do homework? I've not watched one. I haven't even watched this one that we're talking about right now. I'm going to watch it after the fact.
It's because they're professional.
The faculty in between all me Tom
Yes,
Hanks
like the
films.
true professional that I am.
Yes, so Lee and
That's what I said when I was doing my Star Trek thing at work. Someone was like, "Are you okay to talk?" And I was like, "I do this professionally." They clearly have not listened to the podcast.
Yes. So we are talking about Tom Hanks movies, so that's going to be quite fun. There's a lot of, I think that's going to be a very laughable and smiley episode as well.
It's going to be so much fun.
Yes,
so much fun.
And we are the Monsters episode is back on Monday, with a very good episode. Like I say, I'll probably watch it tomorrow, so everyone will watch it on Monday.
It's so good. It's very detailed. We did do a lot of work for this one. It is the man behind the monster, Gary Oldman. We've structured it so well, but it is a bit of a length. It's probably the longest one we've done, but it's just because of how much he has a lot of characters. We didn't even scratch the surface when it comes to his character base.
Where do you draw the line though with him?
Exactly.
Because he's so famous for all being monsters, but villains in general. Like, are you including stuff like in Lost in Space, where he becomes a massive insect? Are we including him as Nog in The Fifth Element? There's so much that you can.
Now, Graham, you're giving spoilers away now, so.
No, we kind of spoilers. We're not going to hear about that.
If you're listening on iTunes and Spotify, you will never know unless you go and listen.
So yes, and
one of my favorite memes that I've seen is of saying, "What if one day someone shouts cut?" And it turns out you were Gary Oldman all along, because that's how good he is.
I've got a little boy who wants to come and say hello, but he doesn't. He's very reluctant right now.
Hello, little boy.
Hello, my little boy. My little sausage.
And Becca in the chat, yes, I will take you for Wagamama soon, I promise. Not in a creepy way.
Take her, it's fine.
Becca, I'll be there on the 13th if you want to come and meet me and my sister for tea. That's fine. I'm sure she won't mind.
Wolfman's got nods in the chat is saying The Burbs is the quintessential Tom Hanks.
We're gonna have a few different disagreements with certain movies.
I kind of agree, but I would put my favorite as Dragnet. I absolutely love Dragnet. It's so good. It's I'd probably put The Burbs as 2 actually, if I'm honest, but it is a brilliant movie.
It is going to be up for discussion because that's going to be the hard one. Naming your favorite Tom Hanks movie, it's going to be quite.
Because then someone's going to say another one, and you're going to go, "Oh yeah, that's my favorite. Oh, that's my favorite. God damn it, that's my favorite. That's me." When it comes to everything, I'm like, "Yes, that's my favorite." Is anyone
picking Castaway though?
It's still up there.
That's not my favorite.
I know that's it. I'm just going.
Is it a top 5?
No, it's not a top 5. Don't worry. We'll make it do a top 5.
It's just
I'm going to make it do a top 5 just because I can. But yes, just to remember as well, we are getting, like say, a little bit more organised leading in towards our charity stream where we are going to be talking for 24 hours. We've got a lot of things planned. We've got a few things that we are hoping to do. We're going to do a few giveaways, so we've got a few prizes for people. We are doing a quiz. We've got a BBC radio presenter coming on to tell us about Jurassic Park. We have the retro rooms. Aidan's going to come on giving us a tour around his store. So we're going to look at toys, and so Sammy might be buying some Ghostbuster toys live on air.
Ant's going to have to take my bank card off us.
Well, to be fair,
my husband's details. Charge what you will.
To be fair, I'll show you. I went in the other day just to talk to Aidan and end up going out with, like I say, the tiniest toy, but I had to have him. Little original Wicket.
Eat Chihuahua.
Yeah. So yes, like I say, so we will be getting that. I know we've got like people wanting to come on. I think General Kirky's going to come on to talk about Trek. I know Goodwill's talking with other Trek people. We've got Peaches coming to join us for a bit of a horror chat. We've got Sonia who's going to come on and play games with us and talk to us. Lee's going to be with us for 24 hours. So sorry, Becca, I'm still in Daddy Discord for a full day. You might as well go and stay around your mum's. As Goodwill as lead as looks on, but as well, just to say, everyone who's thank you for sticking with us tonight. I know I've been trying a few different things that the guys probably hasn't noticed, but trying to do like say a few different camera angles, a few different changes. Like say, I would love the
I've seen my face popping up large and scaring everyone. So.
Yeah, Jake absolutely
sorry about
loved
that, everyone.
it. Jake pointed it out. I would also like to say before we go, it is an anniversary of friendship between me, Graham, and Sonia. So it was clearly a year ago that we played Phantasmophobia together.
And it's been downhill since.
Ever since.
But just to say it as well, like if anyone's got any feedback on like tonight's episode and how we've done it and how it looks, I would love to hear it. Like say what worked, what didn't work.
Say, no, what we were saying. I was like, no,
fuck that. Like say that's their opinion. We are trying to grow and like say.
I disclaimer that.
But yes. Also as well, like say thank you for any new viewers like Wolfman Got Nards. Thank you for so much for joining us and staying with us. Like say message us if you want to come on the podcast as well. Like say we are open to having guests on. And thank you so much for Graham for joining us with 5 minutes notice, which was great. No panic at all. Have the night off.
But that's it. Well, the problem is I'm gonna be streaming on Twitch after this anyway on twitch.tv/Synoiz. And I was like, well, I'm going to be on the computer anyway, and I do want to talk about this movie. And yeah, because when it came up as one of the topics we we're going to do, I was like, yes, definitely want to do that. Can I just say, by the way, this Sunday I have a very busy October coming up, which is going to be quite scary. But if you are into RuPaul's Drag Race, UK season 5 is starting on the 27th, I think it's Thursday. I will be the special guest at the viewing party at Bobby's Newcastle alongside Charitza May and Gladys Duffy on the 5th of October. And I'll also be comparing Hartlepool Folk Festival's Cabaret on the 8th of October, which it will be a crazy weekend. And this Sunday is Newcastle Drag Race All Stars at Boulevard. So sadly, it is happening at the same time as the Tom Hanks podcast, but if you are into drag and fancy a night out, then give it a go.
That's fine. And a big thank you for Daddy Discord for joining us tonight. He is becoming now a little bit of a review expert. Like I say, now, like I say, he's getting a bit in his stride. Like, how many is that now? Is it 3, 4?
I think I've been on every one of the Reviews Up North ones so far.
Well, we've not done The Exorcist together, Lee. Maybe we could review that again.
Oh, well, like I say, we are going to watch that on the big screen, so we shall see. Don't think I can say anything nice about it yet, but that's fine.
Yeah.
We can always do The Exorcist 3, the better movie, which is a fine.
Good.
Never seen that.
Yeah, see.
Then there you go.
It's a tough one.
I've only ever seen the first.
But yes.
You've not seen the first one?
I've seen the first one.
Oh, you're okay. You can end this now.
Just not 2 or 3.
Right. And Donna's just proclaimed you the podcast whore now, Lee, so that's fine. So on that note, same bat time, same bat channel.
Stay nerdy, everyone. Bye.
Bye.